見ててください。
ルコーさん、このフィーネファンタジーってゲームはどんな内容なの？
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Briareos Kerensky and welcome to the review of Burst Forth, Choro-gon Breath, a shoot 'em up based on the popular manga/anime series Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. The game is available on Japanese PlayStation 4s and Switches, and Axis announced there will be an official Western release during summer 2022. I cannot say for the PS4 version, but on Switch there is a full English translation already, though spaces are used rather liberally, and hopefully Axis will clean some of these formatting errors. It's not like they have to do much more here.
ドール様、残念。
The choice of adapting a slice-of-life series into a shoot-em-up is a strange one, but I do prefer it over having, let's say, a visual novel. The story setup is very simple. Kobayashi and the 4 dragon ladies get sucked into Fafnir's computer by a curse, and the only way to escape is to beat the installed games. Kobayashi, being human, sits on the sidelines, leaving Toru, Elma and Kanna to do the actual shooting. Ilulu is soon revealed to be the main bad girl. Or is she? I know it's technically a spoiler, but Lukoa takes the mantle of Secret Boss, with one game mode featuring 3 different ways to approach her battle. Unfortunately, Ilulu and Lukoa are not playable, and the rest of the cast is barely mentioned. Each stage is introduced by a dialogue sequence, and all characters offer flavor text here and there while you play. There are multiple endings, all of them with one exclusive illustration, earned based on characters alive and score at the end of the final stage.
じゃあ始めようか。
ああ、そうなるのか。
なるほど。なんとなく予想はしてました。ルコア様が2人。僕あんなかな。もっと胸大きいと思うんだけどな。
Choro-gon Breath scrolls vertically and has the flavor of a bullet hell, but it's slower than, let's say, Toho or many cave titles, resembling more Shikigami no Shiro, with slowish bullets and no stage hazards to interact with. Bullet patterns waved by bosses and mid-bosses are interesting and well orchestrated, but on the other hand, standard enemy waves feel haphazard and not as refined as they should be, and at higher difficulty levels it's easy to get cornered. To escape such situations you have a backdash with a rather long invincibility window, but it's not directional and you might end up dodging right into another bullet. There is also a physical attack that will automatically home onto the nearest target, but unless you charge it, it won't kill standard enemies outright, leaving you vulnerable to return fire for a split second. Using the charge attack is not quite a suicide button, but it's not as useful as it could, especially at higher difficulty settings. You can swap between Toru, Elma and Kanna at will, and each has their own health bar. Health recharges when a character is not in use, and 2 stages have a taiyaki to fully restore 1 life bar. When someone's health reaches 0, they are out of the fight for good, as there are no extends or even continues. Well, technically there are continues, but they will bring you back to the beginning of a level with the same resources you had when you got there the first time. So if you are on your last character with 1 hit left and no bombs to escape sticky situations, it's better to accept a game over. Restarting is not as dire as it sounds. Choro-gon Breath only has 5 stages, plus a 6th unlocked if you beat the previous with all playable characters alive. Choro-gon Breath also lives on collectibles. Fulfill certain conditions, which are never told outright, but I think it's just fully clearing an enemy wave, and enemies will drop random items and illustration pieces. Before starting any of the game modes, you can set difficulty and drop rates. Difficulty will affect number of enemies, boss resilience, and bullets fired at you. Better drop rates will give you more and rarer items, but enemy shots will be more powerful, draining more health the higher you go. There are a total of 288 illustration pieces to collect, and each stage only drops a maximum of 3 at a time. If you want to complete the illustration gallery, you'll have to play a lot, and I think you can get duplicates, though it's a bit hard to keep track of so many collectibles. I don't think any of the illustrations are new, but they do have voiced lines associated to them, and the artwork created for this game has its own separate gallery. Items are just collectibles.
小林さん専属メイドとして完璧に仕事をこなします。
The scoring system is simple, centered around a combo counter that builds up as you defeat enemies and goes down when opponents escape. The combo counter affects how fast the bomb meter recharges and how fast the power gauge fills. The power gauge is one mechanic I'd have liked to be better fleshed out, as you end up pretty much at the same power level at every stage, and it doesn't really feel you get more powerful as it feels. All enemies always take more than one hit to go down, and there isn't much visual difference between power levels. At the end of a stage, character's health further improves the score, but due to the absence of continues, at least in the normal sense, I'd have liked a way to sacrifice points for health. That surely would have come in handy at higher difficulty with better drop rates, rather than just grinding at lower difficulty levels, which becomes boring quickly. I also find the balance between the three playable characters lacking. Toru has a powerful straight shot with small homing waves. Kanna fires homing bullets, spreads feathers that bounce back enemy fire, and Hair Bomb recovers everyone's health. Elma is left with a wide-range fire of limited power that is only useful against some boss phases. She has a powerful physical attack, but that is of limited usefulness. I ended up switching between Toru and Kanna, leaving Elma as a sort of decoy for the most intense bullet patterns, and this sucks because I quite like Elma.
おい、私を忘れるな。
Graphics are mediocre, stages are a very basic representation of their theme, and despite this being a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up, there is no option to rotate the screen. On the sound design side, we have fully voiced cutscenes, a limited number of in-game flavor lines, and BGMs I honestly can't remember. For some reason, developers selected to have enemies shout when firing, and those shouts use the same volume as character voices, thus often drowning them out, making it impossible to hear or read what someone is saying. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, Burst Forth, Choro-gon Breath, is an average shooter that could have used a bit more refinement and a bit more variety with the scale of grinding necessary to unlock every item and illustration. The bullet patterns are intense enough to keep the attention high while you play, and the game is good enough for a few hours of solid, if uninteresting, shooting fun, but after a while you'd wish for something more as you grind your way through all the collectibles. I hope you have enjoyed this review and you stick around for more. Briareos Kerensky, over and out.
私にかかればこんなものだ。